Hello and welcome back to another Queermas episode of Swords and Sapphics. I'm Rachel,
I'm Ivy.
and this is the place where we talk about all things queer, feminine, and representation, and it may include sharp objects. It is our final Queermas episode today. It's been a wild ride, 12 days of articles, interviews, and guest episodes. Ivy, what have been the highlights?
When it was all done.
Yeah, it took a lot of planning.
It was amazing, but it took a lot of our weekends, a lot of our days off, a lot of energy, and a lot of planning.
Yeah, it took a lot of planning. It was definitely worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
This was supposed to be my rest month because I'm a freelancer, which means I'm not very good at implementing breaks into my life.
That's an understatement.
Yeah,
she's horrible at it. Horrible. The worst.
Yeah.
And now, during her month off, her idea was 12 days of Queermas. I feel that says a lot about who she is.
Look, I have an idea and I do it. What can I say?
Yeah.
No regrets. It was good fun.
Absolutely,
and we're very grateful. This episode, we will be talking to Courtney Kae, who is the author of In the Events of Love. So stay tuned. Okay, so it is the 21st of December. It's nearly Christmas. The big day is nearly here. Are you feeling Christmassy?
I'm feeling very Christmassy.
Are you feeling Queermassy?
Always. That's a state of mind at this point.
It is. We were thinking we could talk about how Christmas has changed over the years, because I know for sure I wasn't wanting to make podcasts about queer representation when I was young and excited for Christmas. I was just ready for Father Christmas to come and bring me my presents, hoping for a good old doll, hoping for something nice under the tree. What was your Christmas like when you were younger, Ivy?
Full of hope that I haven't felt in years. Will to live.
Oh no.
That left me years ago. It was great, actually. You know, like when my parents were still together, or where we even though they were divorced, we had like Christmas dinner together. And those are years that I like to think of fondly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it used to be really great. I remember me and my brother, we used to like count our presents to get them more. I got more presents, but he got bigger ones. Much bigger ones. Yeah. Hockey player. What can you do?
Did you have any weird habits? Because mentioning presents, I can't open the big present first. I have to open them in size order. So I line them all up. And I feel when I was younger, it was just a quirky pick-me girl thing that I did. But as I grow older, I'm thinking that might be a sign of neurodivergence.
Yeah. I don't think I had anything like that. We used to always like put all the Christmas gifts to the person and then go one by one to open them.
Oh yeah. Oh, stop, because my family don't do that. They all want to open their presents. I want to sit back. I want to take turns.
Yeah.
I want it to be what I want to watch everyone open their presents.
Yeah. So that's what we do in our like immediate family when we go to our grandparents the next day, where is all of our cousins and aunts. It's over 15 people. So at that point we don't do that. We just all open it. But yeah, and on the Christmas day we take turns. Yeah.
My Christmas was a lot quieter when I was younger, because my family has grown as I've gotten older, which is very strange. Like I grew up very, like I was an only child. Everyone else were adults. I was very much like on my own. And now when I reached like 15, 16, and my sister came along and my little cousin came along, and now it's kind of just carnage. whenever we get together, because we're still a very small family, but of course we have a small house. So it's just very noisy, and I find myself every year more like, wow, I wish I was all on my own, which is very horrible. I love my family, but I want to I feel like sometimes it can take away from the peace of Christmas.
Yeah.
Like but one thing I do enjoy is that we do now have younger kids in the family. So where I would have lost that otherwise if it was just me, now I get to watch my sister like get the magic of it and watch her open the presents and be all excited, and it still kind of keeps it there for me a little bit.
That's nice. Yeah. I think was it 2 years now? This is the third year when I live alone, so it's a little strange for me to like be in the Christmas moment and then go home, and I feel it ends so quickly to me, because even like when I lived with my mom, even after we like had the presents and my brother usually went out with his friends, we still were in the mood, or we talked and stuff. And now that, like, I love being alone, but I feel it's just the Christmas ends so quickly because of it, which is a strange thing.
I feel like as I get older, I try to savor those moments more. Like, you never really got to appreciate them as a kid, but now, like, I make it a whole event. I make everything I do an event, like wrapping presents and stuff. Like, I'm romanticizing the shit out of this for 2 whole months. I put the tree up at the beginning of November, and I need it to be Christmassy for the whole time, because it's the only time of year where you feel like really cozy and warm. But I know that it's also going to be different for a lot of people this year, because there's just a huge cost of living crisis, which is not something we should get into. Well, it's not something we want to get into like today, but then again, like, the fact that we do have these warm and Christmassy queer romances coming out is really one of the only like saving graces we get nowadays, because all the films we watch are old ones, all the music we listen to are old ones. Like, you don't get as many exciting content being put out for Christmas anymore the way that you used to.
Yeah, that's true.
We get these nice, joyful queer romances, and that's something that should be appreciated now more than ever, because it's not an easy time.
Yeah.
And I feel like that actually links in well with Courtney Kae's book, In the Event of Love, because Rachel is obviously struggling with the Christmas tree farm, and the whole town is struggling like not to be taken over by huge corporations, and it's nice to get that happy ending.
And it's nice to defeat a big corporation.
Yeah.
We should do it more often.
I think that's why the success of like small town romances is so prevalent in like Hallmark movies as well. Like, they're not doing much for diversity, but most of their films are like small town appreciation, and if nothing else, that's always nice.
Yeah, and the appreciation of the community mostly, I feel.
Yeah. They just have some ways to go, yeah. So, In the Event of Love is sapphic romance about an event planner named Morgan who hasn't been home in a really long time. She has difficulties with her dad. She lost her mom, and she grew estranged from all of her friends back in her little town of Fern Falls. It's a very cozy town. It's very full of community. But after she has a big old issue at work, she is forced to go home for an event that turns out to be her friend's plan, Ben. And of course, she has an old flame there, who was also her best friend for many years, Rachel. And first of all, she's a lumberjane. She cuts wood, and it's hot.
She has muscles. She was carrying Morgan around.
And she has an axe. She does not have a sword, but she does have an axe.
And as Rosa Diaz said, what kind of woman doesn't own an axe?
Exactly. So there's lots of angst there, which we always fucking love. There's something very special about like second chances, stuff like that, where there's already a history and you really get to
History of
like
pain.
relive. You get to relive it with the characters.
Yeah.
So Rachel and Morgan work together to kind of fight against the big corporation taking over Fern Falls. And of course they grow closer in the process. They learn things about each other that they didn't really have the capacity to do before as younger people who were, you know, stuck in their own issues and problems. And it's very nice. It's very satisfying to see like two people grow with each other and kind of realize what they want together, what they couldn't do before. And it's just very cozy, very snowy, steamy. Steamy and sapphic. What more do you need in life?
Precisely.
Did you have a favorite scene in the Event of Love?
Honestly, it's not like favorite scene per se, but I did really enjoy this a little thing that I told you about immediately. It's where Morgan goes to relax on her own. Let's put it that way. And afterwards, she washes her hand on Paige. Hands. You know what? I've never seen it in a book. And I have to point it out because it's no one ever goes pee after sex. She washed her hands. I'm like, I just really enjoy that little thing. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. I have nothing to add there.
Yeah.
My favorite scene was the first scene where Morgan arrives in Fern Falls. I'm a fucking sucker for people who just mess shit up. And she comes in, she drives there and immediately runs into the Christmas tree sign. And of course, that causes a very awkward first meeting with Rachel. I just love if you've read Honeymoon for One, my book, you'll know that I love a clumsy main character. I love like destruction and problems and just chaos, and that definitely brought that from the first page.
Yeah. Yes. I love when she caught her. I think women in books should carry other women more.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I was thinking about how, like, even though there's more sapphic fiction emerging, we still have yet to see a lot of like more butch lesbians or like more athletic or kind of bigger girls. Like for me, they also kind of carry the stereotypes of femininity and like both physically and like as characters. So it's always nice to see like someone who's very like who labors and you know isn't afraid to get their hands dirty and stuff.
Yes. Well, let's get into the interview with Courtney. So thank you so much for joining us. First, let's start with a question. Where did you came with the inspiration for In the Event of Love, and how did this idea came to you?
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. And so the inspiration for In the Event of Love came at the end of 2019. And it had been like a rough fall for my family and I. And we spent a lot of time that holiday season sort of cuddling close on the couch and watching Hallmark movies, Lifetime movies, like all kinds of holiday movies. And like it was just a nice little bubble to be in. You knew like everything was going to be happy and work out okay. And so it brought us a lot of comfort. But of course, as a queer person, I had joy, but it also was this sense of sadness because there were no queer people to be found, like besides, you know, the token queer character that they usually have. And I just sort of started searching for any kind of movie with queer representation. And I was able to find it in books, like in the indie pub space, because I don't think Written in the Stars came out until 2020. So at that point, it was difficult to walk into a bookstore or like a traditionally published space and find that representation for the holiday genre in books as well. So I was like, well, I had been a voracious adult rom-com reader, obsessed with them. Never thought that I would be able to write one myself because I had written YA up until that point. And then just this image came to me of Morgan crashing into the tree farm. Then that was it. And I was like, you know what? I don't care if this is niche. Like, I don't care about the market. I want to write this for me because I want to read it. And then I guess other people wanted to read it too. So
we really did.
We did, and we enjoyed it very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of it and I'm really enjoying it. So naturally we had to see what's coming next, and we see that book 2 is Ben and Adam's story and it's set in summer. So we were wondering, which do you prefer, the winter season or summer season, and why?
I feel like, is it bad to say I need both? I'm particularly drawn to the magic of winter because I feel like it's just coming from a fantasy writing background. It's really fun to imbue things that might feel a little magical in the contemporary space. But summertime also has a little bit of that flavor because I feel like in winter and in summer, at least looking back on childhood, we had these long breaks where our imaginations could run and we could have this little bit of freedom. It's different as an adult. So bringing that into the adult space is also fun. Like, we get sometimes vacations or holiday breaks. And so my answer is I really love both, and I'm just really drawn to seasonal landscapes. And kind of playing with that atmosphere within the story. I feel like it adds a lot of warmth. So both.
What then is your favorite aspect of the Christmas setting? I'm obsessed with the twinkly lights that are in the background of everything and stuff.
Me too. I think that's my favorite too. So that was one thing in every, let's just say, Hallmark, because it brings to mind a certain image, right? So when you watch a Hallmark movie, and I always notice in every single scene, it doesn't matter if it's like a bow in someone's hair they always have an object to represent the theme or something cozy. Like, even if nothing else is in the background, usually there's garland or twinkly lights. And I think that was my favorite thing, to go through the book and in each scene just try to bring that sort of warmth to the page that you would see visually in a movie.
Wonderful. Morgan is an event planner. So how much research did you put into it, or did you just decide to wing it?
So they say, write what you know. And, stepping into a new audience for writing, because I had come from YA, I really wanted to lean on experience that I'd already had. And I didn't want to do research.
Understandable.
So in my day job, I actually do plan quite a few events and travel coordination, trade shows, things like that. And so it was easy to bring in certain elements that could make it believable on the page, as far as the hotel room block or the different, I guess, waivers that would be needed for the event, like little tiny things that could not overwhelm the manuscript with details, but just insert them in little spots that made it feel believable. So that came from personal.
So both couples in Fern Falls that you've introduced so far have pre-established relationships. They have a history. Do you prefer that to meet cutes?
I think I do.
Yeah, me too.
I do you?
Yeah. It's the angst.
Yes, the angst. exactly. Like there's this background of memories, and then now in the present, kind of seeing them in a different light. I think it's my favorite thing. But I know my agent is going to be like, hey, Courtney, you can't do like second chance romance or friends to lovers every book.
But why not?
Why not? But I will probably have to mix it up at some point.
Yeah.
But that almost makes me more nervous because you don't have that history between them to rely on. So that'll be a learning curve for me, which I'm looking forward to. But
I found the same. Like it's always more difficult to like start from scratch with them. So I really love that, like that there's that history there, and that you can always lean on that when you're like looking for where to go next.
I love that too. I love adding in the different memories and things.
Yeah.
My favorite is just when they're already in a relationship and they love each other, but something happens and they're in pain and I'm in pain, and it's best.
Like marriage or relationship in trouble.
Yeah.
Oh, that I really want to tackle that trope. I love it.
Please do, because it's so very little of it, and it's different kind of pain, and I'm digging it. I need it in my life.
All the pain.
Yeah, exactly. I want to cry.
Yes.
That's my goal when reading a book.
One of my favorite, my friend Maggie North actually wrote a Marriage in Trouble book that's coming out, I think in 2024. I'm really looking forward to. But also Sarah Hogel, is it You Deserve Each Other? The one that's the Marriage in Trouble.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, I have it on my TBR for so long. I'm gonna have to then.
Oh yeah, maybe bump that baby up.
Yeah. All the friends in the group are queer, which is something that you usually hear straight people saying, "Oh, that's not real. That's so uncommon." Was that given from the beginning, or did you figure it out as you wrote?
From the beginning. Growing up, I kind of, I guess, what's the word, came into my queer consciousness later in life. Just because growing up in like a suppressed, sort of very overbearingly religious home, that wasn't something to explore, right? Even though looking back, I'm like, yeah, wow, Pirates of the Caribbean, Zorro, the Mummy. I really had some moments there.
That's the classics. Yeah.
But I knew writing this book that I wanted to create a queer community that was very strong and full of joy and support. I think because I maybe trying to create what I didn't have growing up or wasn't able to experience, but that I actually do have now in the writing community and online spaces. And also, my friends in the writing community that I've met in real life, like it's such a joy and freedom to have that now. And so I really, really wanted to create this in this book.
Wonderful. Yeah. As you said, like I'm very lucky now that I get to do just that, surround myself with queer people. And sometimes you really do forget that straight people exist and that they like don't know any queer people.
And it's so much better that way.
Yeah.
I just watched Heartstopper, which I'm obsessed with. And I love that one line. Is it Tao? He says, as your token straight friend, I'm here to remind you that straight people exist. I was like, oh my God. That's so funny.
We love Heartstopper. I finally managed to force Rach to read the comic book, and we've already seen the first 2 episodes together. And Heartstopper is so special to me because it's exactly what one was missing in high school. Exactly that group of queer friends that we really did miss out on because of the times, and it's just so joyful to see that now.
It makes you nostalgic for something that you never had in a way. Like,
oof. Oh my gosh, yes, that's so true.
Yeah.
But that we fortunately can have now, which is cool.
Yeah, precisely. And read about, thanks to people like you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of the book, I know that there were like a few of the discussion questions. And I've decided to ask you one, and that is, what drink would you choose to be the drink of the day at Peak Bar Cafe?
I actually wrote those questions.
I thought you did.
My publisher had me write them.
Oh.
Which was cool. Like going through this whole debut process, it was neat to see the whole behind the scenes of things. Because I always assumed like, oh, the publisher probably, I wrote them, and it was fun. But I had to make it be like not my voice. So I hope it did. Okay. If I had to choose the drink of the day, let's see. Something caramely, maybe. Maybe like a caramel, maybe like caramel and chocolate. I don't know. Why am I drawing a blank here? Maybe, okay. A mocha with caramel and whipped cream with caramel drizzled on top. There you go. That sounds good right now.
That's perfect for the Christmas. Yeah.
We wanted to touch on something that happened a few months ago, I want to say. You kind of went to Twitter and like made the announcement that you are bisexual, which is not something you've hidden anyway, but it was because a reviewer kind of criticized the authenticity of like the sex scenes between Morgan and Rachel. Why do you think that readers are so like desperate to kind of invalidate bisexual, especially identities?
I don't know. And it's something I've turned over and over in my head, probably like many people, and I sat on it for a long time thinking I shouldn't say anything because I didn't want readers to feel invaded in the review space. Like I didn't want anybody to feel like they couldn't review my book, or like I was looking for specific reviews. That's not what happened, and I was scared that it might come off that way. But I had come across some reviews that were like, as you said, questioning my identity because of how they read the text, and it kind of just stabbed me right in the heart. And I think I don't know, I can't pinpoint the reason of why certain people might feel that way, but we also live in a society that is dealing with not polarizing labels, right? Like people sometimes are uncomfortable with fluidity right now. And I think maybe this is just what I've come to the conclusion. People just don't understand. And that's the bottom line. Like if it didn't match their experience, or it doesn't have or like with bisexuality is a very fluid place to be in, if that makes sense. And I might be describing that incorrectly, but just my feelings alone, it can feel very, and like being bi and non-binary is quite an experience, because sometimes you do feel sort of like a little bit like a ping pong or in the middle, and not that that's what it is, but I personally can have those feelings. And I think sometimes that's just hard for people to understand, because they want to see things in very black and white or very specific labels, but I was looking for this, and so this isn't here, so this means it's not valid, or whatever, however they want to feel. And I've just come to the conclusion that it doesn't matter what they say, right? And I think with pansexual and bisexual and non-binary, and like with these identities, it's just important to have more and more representation. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I love and being myself. And I did have like a sense of relief when I spoke about it. Like the support was overwhelming, which was amazing. And I ended up deleting the posts because it just was like mentally a lot to wrap my head around. and I felt really vulnerable in talking about it. But yeah, I don't know. I hope I answered the question. I feel like
No,
I
you
sort of
yeah.
scrambled a little bit
Yeah.
there, but
It feels
Yeah,
like as a queer author, you kind of have to be open to the fact that people are really going to like pick at you more so than perhaps with like a straight author. Like I found in my own experience anyway. But I do find that for every one person that has a criticism, there are so many who are just grateful for that representation. And like you said, it is important to just not focus on the 1% who kind of want to find something bad in that.
yeah. And I think too, the more queer representation we get, there will be so many stories for everybody. So if this version of queerness in my story, my experience of queerness doesn't match what they wanted to experience in a book, then I hope they find that in another one, you know? And I think that's just where having more like more and more and more and more representation just benefits the entire community.
Yeah. It is strange to see that it's especially bi people who have to come out and say, hey, I'm bi, this is my experience. We had it with Becky something, the writer.
Albertalli, yes.
Yeah. And now with Kid Connor too.
Yes,
and
that also came to my mind.
It's just really heartbreaking. And like for me personally, I prefer to choose media, books especially that are written by who I know are queer people, because I want to support their voices. So I did not read like Becky's stuff before she came out, and not even now, because I want to be sure that I support the right people for that. But never in my life would I be like, oh, you cannot write that, because I don't know.
Yeah, and that's a really respectful like place to be as a reader, you know?
Yeah,
like
it did take me a long time to figure it out, just exactly like that, just because you want to support the right people, but you also want to be respectful and stay in your lane, really, and not go into personal lives of people.
Exactly, because there is that fear of, well, if people are writing a queer story, I think there's a fear of, will it be done is it a safe space for me to be in a book, right? And so you want to have that sort of feeling going in, like, okay, I feel like this is going to be safe for me. I hope it will be, because I'm sure a lot of us have opened up a book and expected it to be safe, and there was something in there that was really painful. Yeah, I mean, that's happened to me, and that's happened to a lot of readers. And so I think that's where readers are coming from, you know, I think for the most part. But also, I have a feeling that if anyone is writing like a queer story, it's a lot of how we also explore ourselves, right? Even and when we're not ready to tell other people yet, or invite people into that truth, like it's how we explore our own identities as writers and creators. So I think that's a space that should also be respected. I know it's like so layered, right?
As you said, it's not just black and white. It's very
nuanced,
rainbowy.
I do
think and it's an important conversation to have. And I think if we all center respect, you know, then we really
and I do think we're sort of dangling on the line at the minute, because we kind of grew up with a lot of queer stories by maybe straight people, told by straight people from that lens. So now it's kind of difficult to trust where we're going, which is more queer creators and more queer content that isn't just from one perspective. And I think that's why it's such a struggle. But also really nice to evolve.
Yes, and I think growing pains, right, is where we're at, maybe in the book space a little bit. So and I'm sorry, I don't say these things as like the authority. I just this is just like how I feel, and I think it's a really important conversation to have, even if I do sort of stumble through it a little bit. But I really appreciate you talking about it, because that's important.
No,
Yeah,
of course. That's
it
why we're
is.
here. And we're really grateful that you're here to talk about it as well, because every queer author has a different experience and a different story. And it's so nice to like hear someone else's perspective. We talk to each other all day.
Yeah.
And it's
Oh,
nice
well,
to get
see,
other
talk to
opinions in.
each other only.
and I appreciate hearing your perspective too.
Yeah. It's also something that I don't feel straight people realize, that how much internalized hate there is in the community itself. And I found that out when I talked to my straight uncle who is like Catholic or something. I'm not sure. I don't understand that. But when I was talking to him, he was so surprised that there's so much biphobia specifically, which was my experience in the community itself. So it's not only for queer people, but also straight people to realize that we've got hate enough from our own. We're not like this tight group as much as we would love to be.
Yeah. And I think that's where that celebration of our queer community who is supportive, and like you really just, I cling to that, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's why it almost came as such a shock, because I hadn't experienced that yet in my queer journey, right? And I realized that I was extremely fortunate to not have yet. And I spoke out about it because part of the reason was because well, I cared a lot about it not happening to other people. And I got lots of comments of, oh, this has been an issue for a long time. And other authors who said, you know, I've experienced this too. And, you know, that's heartbreaking. But I think too, the more that somebody who feels safe to talk about it can talk about it. And I had my community behind me, and I felt safe, you know, doing so. So I'm glad that I could bring it up for those people who needed to talk about it.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And that's why we wanted to talk about it as well, because when I saw it, I was like, I immediately just admired you for standing up. Not that you should have had to, but just because you
that's
did.
kind. Thank you.
Yeah. It is an important conversation still, and I'm glad that we can have it, and that there are authors in the space who are comfortable and safe enough to have it as well.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's really great.
Thank you for talking with me about it.
Yeah. Back to the book a little bit. Will there be, after the book 2, more books set in the Fern Falls multiverse universe that we can expect?
I'm trying to set it up with the possibility of that. But I am not sure. I'm not sure. Ben and Adam are really special to me. And I think putting their book out there will feel whole in a sense for that series for now. But I don't know. I'm still kind of toying with a Whitney and Tanner idea down the road, but nothing has like jumped at me yet. So I think it's on pause, but not a never situation.
Wonderful. Yeah, there's nothing also that when he falls first and she doesn't care, that's something for me. Like, that's amazing.
Oh, me too. We love the pain, right?
Always.
Yeah. We usually talk about like media we're consuming, stuff like that, but since it's a Christmas edition, Queermas edition, do you have like any Christmas go-tos, whether it's traditions or, you know, films, TV, books, anything that makes you feel festive and warm inside?
Oh, I love that question. So my husband just put up all the Christmas lights, and in the evening when I walk upstairs and like the house is dark, they glow through the front windows, and that is always the moment where it's like, okay, the holidays are here.
Yeah.
It's official. I love that so much. And just enjoying certain activities with my daughter and my family. Like we do a candy cane lane walk where we go see all the lights, and just the random weeknight where we're like, hey, let's go drive around and look at lights, and we'll bring hot cocoa, and it's kind of turns the ordinary day into a special time. I love little moments like that.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I was actually sat on the sofa last night, reading In the Event of Love with the Christmas trees on, all the other lights turned off, and a gingerbread candle was lit, and it was just the cold. Like, I think that was the start of my Christmas.
Yeah,
Oh my
same. I also
gosh.
put on a Christmas candle when I was reading it because you just have to. You have to.
Oh my gosh, my heart is full. I'm so happy it brought some warmth into your space. That's awesome.
One thing I have to mention, I absolutely adore their coming out scenes to each other. It made me giggle, it made me all teary-eyed. It was just the softest thing ever. It was absolutely excellent. Really good.
Thank you. You know,
Thank you.
oh my gosh, I love that. Thank you for that comment.
Yeah.
So in my therapy sessions, talking with my own therapist, we had this one moment where, you know, when I got my book deal, it was also part of my coming out to my larger extended family. And I had lots of conversations with my therapist about it. And she made this comment and she said, you know, it should be no different than just proclaiming your favorite color. Like, it shouldn't be this big ordeal, you know? And because I kept feeling like, well, they're going to see me as a different person. They're going to see me, they're going to like question me as a person, or I don't know. That's the feeling I had. Not saying that it was true, but that's the feeling that I had. And when she made that comment, it was this sense of like, yes, I agree. Like, it doesn't change me as a person. It's just like, this is my favorite color.
Yeah.
And like, I love that one scene in Schitt's Creek, you know, when David is describing the label of the wine. Oh, it's the best.
We love
like
Schitt's Creek here. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so in that coming out scene between Morgan and Rachel, in that past memory, I really wanted to incorporate that mention of the favorite color, like by my therapist, you know, because I just felt like I felt so seen by that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. That's why I feel big reason to why I loved it, because it wasn't a big thing. It wasn't that a huge thing. It was just very simple, and I really adored it.
Thank you. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, I thank you for that. And also, there's never a time where I don't love the word bisexual on a page. It makes one feel so very seen, and it's always so it's perfect. Yeah.
There's this one line in the very beginning of the book that was like my like my stance, my let's see. Okay, what was it? I think it was I thank the sweet Lord Jesus for blessing me with bisexuality. Because actually that's one of my favorite lines in the book, because it was such like this middle finger to my upbringing. Like my very like strict Christian upbringing, and kind of I loved writing that line.
We loved reading it.
Yeah.
Oh, yay.
And one last question is, other than Christmassy, what is your favorite media that you're currently consuming?
Oh my gosh. I just got in the mail Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail. I'm so
I just
excited
bought it
to
yesterday.
read.
Yeah.
Did you? Oh my gosh. And I also got Pride and Protest by Nikki Payne. And so these are both on my TBR as soon as I finish my revision. Like, I can't wait.
Like, if there isn't something that you would love to share with the world, some exciting news, anything that you can tell about the book too, that we can look forward to. Any
Sure. So I've been like in the deep revision cave with it. So it's almost done. And it comes out July 25th of next year. It's a very summery book. It's kind of like off the wall. It's a little bit nuts. It's like I hope it's very deeply romantic, very deeply validating to people who might feel like a little bit of a quiet soul, a like sensitive soul, because that's who Ben is. And so as far as secrets, I don't really have anything big to share, but as soon as like arcs are coming out, I'll announce it on my socials. I can't wait. Soon, but I would imagine in like 4-ish months or so. Yeah, that arcs will be here.
I love how soon for writers is so different from soon when it comes to readers.
Oh,
Because I was like, soon, yeah, next week. And then you said 4 months, and I'm like,
definitely not next week. My publisher has been amazing and giving me like as much time as I needed with this book to get it right. I had to rewrite it like 3 times. So we're almost there. And
that
I
makes
hope the
me
wait
feel better as an author
will be
because I
worth
just
it.
sat down for my next one and I was like, is this
Oh,
even working?
it will get there. I
It
promise
will.
you.
Yeah.
Don't stop. Please don't stop.
well, amazing. Thank you so much. This has been an absolute blast. So thank you
Yes,
very
I had the
much
best
again for doing
time.
this with us.
Thank you.
Amazing. And happy holidays to everyone.
Yeah.
Happy holidays.
That was our interview with Courtney Kae. Remember to read in the event of love and support all the authors we've had on these 12 days of Queermas. 12 amazing authors, and 12 amazing stories. I mean, I'm sure they have many more in the back catalogue, so
Absolutely.
do support them. And we've just a special thank you to everyone who's participated. We've had lots of fun. It's been a lot for us, a learning curve, and also just really exciting for us to host something this big in our first year.
Yeah. And you know what? It's almost Christmas, it's almost end of the year. And I'm gonna get a little sad because I would just like to thank everyone supporting since the beginning. It's been certainly something. It's been great. We did a lot of things. We enjoyed a lot of them, all of them. And I'm just really happy that I can do this, that I get to do this, and that I get to do this with you.
Oh, stop. Don't make me cry. I'm
I
very
feel-
grateful too.
Yeah.
We used to talk about it all the time, like, let's start a podcast. And then one day it just happened. And it's really fun and it just works for us. Like, I feel like we never run out of things to talk about, and that's very
It's
precious to me.
very precious and unique, and just be able to do this is a huge privilege and honor.
Yeah.
And weirdly, having this podcast now also like gave me the idea what it feels like to be passionate about the work you do. And it really like had me sit back and look at my work and my employment and all that stuff. And yeah, it's I'm aware it's a huge privilege to be something doing that I'm this passionate about and this excited about, and I don't get tired of, which is not always the case for me, jumping from one thing to another.
Yeah, and it's getting, I feel like the more we do, the more exciting it is getting. Like a year ago, I wouldn't think we were here, so who knows where we'll be another year from now. And
exactly.
it's just, we always get so excited and emotional when an author replies to us, when we ask them to come on and do a guest episode or an interview or an article or anything. Like the fact that we put out a form for this and we got 12 people who wanted to be part of that is really fucking amazing and exciting and beyond what we thought. Like, really, we just wanted to fangirl with them, but we got to talk to them.
I have to say, like, this is and I can't say much more about it just yet, but I read a book, I loved it. I started following the author from our Swords and Suffix account, and they gave us follow back. And then, in the matter of 24 hours, we managed to get ready for an interview and for an entire episode of the podcast. And just to be able to do that and say, look, I love a book, I can invite an author for an interview, and they actually want to come, is an enormous and amazing and exciting thing.
It really is. Like, not too long ago, I was just a reader. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
know my books are out in the world now, but for me, I'll always just be a little reader who's just like amazed by any person who can put some words on a page and like make you feel something with it.
Mm-hmm.
So like to be able to like just talk to people who are capable of that and skilled, and not only that but very passionate and able to give us like representation we never was able to find before when we were growing up and stuff. It's very special.
Mm-hmm. It really, really
And
is.
I wouldn't be able to do it without you.
All right, Patricia.
Because you were the brave one who reached out to the first person.
Yeah, well, I have no shame really, and there's no fear that I would go into an embarrassment mode. So I really have no boundaries in this.
And look, it's got us some good places.
Yeah. Well, we work good together as well. We each have something, and it works. It works very well.
I hope so. I hope it works for everybody else too.
Yeah.
But we are learning and we're trying to get better at what we do. Hopefully no more an hour and a half episodes, because we know that people tune out of those. And more than that, we're getting more people on. It's not just going to be us anymore. Definitely not in the new year as well. And there are more avenues that we need to go down, and lots of exciting conversations we're already having. And we hope you'll be there to listen to them.
Yes. We have a lot of exciting things coming, and we're also publishing articles, as you probably know by now, on swordsandsuffix.com.
Yeah. Even if we're quiet in the episode front, be sure to check our social media and our website, because chances are we have something to say. We're always fucking talking. I'm sure we've got something out there. And if we haven't, hopefully we're getting more and more authors to come and chat with us as well. So keep an eye out.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys a lot. And we'll see you in the new year.
We will. Merry Christmas. Merry Queermas.
Merry Queermas.
We hope
happy
this
holidays.
Happy holidays. We hope it's very merry and bright. Make the Yuletide gay.
Yes.
And we hope that you find something special this year, in the coming year, and in the end of this year, because
that's a really fantastic thing.
Yeah.
Something
that sets your soul on fire a little bit.
Yep.
And before we go, always remember to support women's rights.
But most importantly, support women's wrongs.
Even if they leave to Los Angeles and don't talk to you for a really long time, and then come back and run into your Christmas tree farm sign.
It's just a tree farm.
Tree farm. Everything's Christmas in my book.
I understand. I'll see you later, alligator.
In a while, crocodile.